Thank you. Well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming. So we're going to talk today about how to make your website more visible in search results. My name is Irina Blumenfeld, and I do web consulting for clients. I have my own company, NetMagic, and I've been building things on the web for over 15 years. And I worked on for clients for large universities, for medical groups, real estate, and for small businesses. So I'm also one of the co-organizers of WordPress Orlando, and Lisa talked about WordCamp Orlando we're going to have in August. I just wanted to show you the slide. If you'd like to put your email address, and you'll be the first one to know. We're still in the planning phases right now, but you will get emails about the event, the speakers we're going to have. We also will need volunteers. It's a basically volunteer-driven event. It's a great way to connect with the community, and there are a lot of speakers that big plugin developers that come, so it's a great way to connect with people in the WordPress community. And you can go to 2019.orlando.wordcamp.org and sign up, so you will be notified when we have updates. So today we'll talk about how to stand out in search results. I'll show you some examples. We'll talk about schema and what is the simplest way to add it, how to test it, and we'll talk about Google Search Console. And if you have any questions while I'm talking about it, feel free to ask me, because I don't want it to confuse anybody or anybody. I want you to get some use out of this. So the best way is to show an example. So after the hurricane, I needed to get a window replaced, and I Googled window replacement Orlando, Florida. So when you look at the search results, you see the title in blue, description like in the URL, but which result stands out the most to you? The one with the 5 stars. And when we're looking for a product or service, our eyes are kind of drawn to it. We want to pick something that have star rating, 5 stars. So that's one of example. Another one, have you searched for a recipe and you see there's a image of the recipe. Sometimes there is also, there's a rating, and sometimes you see nutrition, how many calories it has. All that data search engine pulls out of the website somehow and creates, they call it rich card format, so they show it to you. So this makes it stand out compared to just regular links with like blue title and little description. I added this to my recipe website for gluten-free desserts. So, and another example is for events. Have you searched for an event? And some results show up extra data, like you see dates, other dates that are listed on this website. So it kind of makes you look more at this result compared to like some boring results with like blue title and description. So I'll show you how you can add this if you have events, for example. Also, another example is when you search on mobile for like news, they show you the latest top stories in this kind of format where they have a photo from the article, the title, and the source of the article, and how recent it is. So somehow they are able to show all this right in their search results. So how do they make it stand out? They use something that's called schema. Schema.org, Google calls it Google Structured Data. So it's kind of like a vocabulary, their own language that search engines agreed to follow to display extra data in search results. So if you go to schema.org, it has all the data types, all the things you can do to mark up your content. So here's a boring example of the code that goes behind the scenes excuse me, of Schema. So you can't see it probably, but it has Schema Markup for product. So in red, it has it says schema.org aggregate rating. So it tells the search engine that this product has rating. So show the stars in the results. And it has rating 4 out of 5 and total 25 ratings total. So it passes on this information to search engine.
So this is what you plugged in on your own website?
Yeah. So there's different data types. Reviews, like ratings, you can display stars in search results. Service, if you have, if you're selling services, you can mark them up so that you let the search engine know that this is the service, this is how much it costs. Yeah.
Do we mark them up ourselves, or do we have to have a thing where people actually put reviews?
This is a good question. I'll show you more how to do it and how you do.
Give me a 10 out of
recipe. I showed you recipe is an example. That's the easiest one. Like, I'm sure you've seen recipes with images and nutrition, calories. Local business. If you have a local business, you can mark it up with the business address so that it passes on to search engine. Articles. If you have blog posts or articles on your site, you can also mark them up. You can give them star ratings and other information. Products, I'm sure you've seen products. You're searching for products. You see the product image in search results, the price, whether it's in stock or out of stock. Yeah.
Quick question. You're talking about putting this information in the metadata? Is that where this stuff is looking?
Yeah, this is basically the schema that I'll show you more.
Ask and answer. That's awesome. Thank you.
It's going to become more clear.
Yes, I'm the slow child. I'm sorry.
Ask questions, please. Person, you can mark up a person. Books, I'm sure if you search for books, sometimes you get extra data in search results about a particular book, the image of the book. Courses, if you have courses on your site, you can mark them up as well. Job postings, you can mark them up. Events, I showed you an example of events. And video objects, and there's more data types. So data type, like for example, recipe, some fields have to be required. So for recipe, it's image and name. So if you don't put an image and name for the recipe, it's going to display an error in Google because this is just required fields. But then they have recommended fields such as rating, cook time, date published, description, nutrition, recipe instruction, and there's 9 more. So this is particular for the recipe, but it's the same thing if you have a book or a course or a different data type. They will have different fields that are required and recommended. So Google has a really good resource on required properties. And I created a shortcut. It's if you go to this link, you'll see their guide.
Can you go back?
Yeah. So it has basically all the structured data types listed that you can use. Such as book and recipe, and then they show you examples how it looks, and what fields are required. It just has a lot of information to it. So how do you add schema? So you have 3 options. First one is just don't add it. There is some schema already in your WordPress template. So if you have a WordPress theme, and it's a good theme, usually it already has markup in it, but it's just general markup, such as this is the header, this is the menu, sidebar, footer. It's telling search engine that this is what is in your site. But it won't have like recipe, or it won't have rating, other data that you want to have in your site. So you can add it manually if you edit your page templates, but you can also use a plugin. So there are many different plugins to add structured data to your site. If you go to wordpress.org/plugins, where they have a lot of plugins, and search for structured data, you get so many different results for plugins that add this to your site. And I haven't tested each plugin, so there's a lot. A lot of them are free, but they have limited options, and they sell like a premium extension. So I'll show you an example of one, how it compares, the free one compared to the premium option. This one is a popular plugin, all-in-one schema-rich snippets. It's been around for a while and has 90,000 installations, has good reviews. This is a free plugin, but it has limited options. By the way, that green line, it's telling me, because I have Russian keyboard installed, that it hasn't been translated in Russian. Help translate it. You probably won't see it unless you have Russian keyboard installed. Or if you have a different language keyboard, you probably will see that if the plugin hasn't been translated into that language. So it has limited options. So I've used it, but I couldn't customize on what pages I wanted it to display on, and there were some other, like I couldn't use certain data types with it. They also make this other plugin called Schema Pro plugin. It's a premium plugin. You can access it by following this URL. So to set it up, you basically select Schema Type, choose target where you want it to go. I'll show you screenshots. And then you map the existing content. So when you choose Schema Type, when you install the plugin and activate it, there's 13 different data types with this plugin. With free plugins, they might not be as many. This one has article, book, course, event, job posting, local business, review, recipe, service, product, video object. So you choose which one. For example, you choose recipe. And then you say where you want it to go. This is pretty powerful because you don't want, you're not going to have all the pages that have recipes on your site. You're probably going to have about page or contact page. So you can choose if you want it to go only on certain pages or certain posts, or even a certain blog category, or certain post types. So it's pretty powerful where you can choose exactly where you want, or you just want it on one page, where you want it to go.
And you can put this on a static page too, and not just a post?
Yeah, you can put it, let's say you have a services page and you want to mark up your services, so you're just going to pick that one services page. And then you have to link your existing content. So let's say I chose recipes. I have name and photo is required, so the name will be the title of the page, the title of the recipe. So I link the name to the title, and then photo will be the featured image of the recipe. So, and then if you have other fields, like you have preparation time, cook time, and you have those already, you can link those as well. And the nice thing with this plugin is it gives you fixed text. So you don't even have to, your website is not going to look any different. This is going to go on the back end, so you're not going to change the look. So let's say you have 1,000 pages. You want to add a rating to those 1,000 pages. You can add fixed text in the back end and choose the rating, how many stars. Also, you can test it right from each page. There's going to be a button to test it so you can see how it works. And you can disable duplicate features that Yoast SEO offers. How many people use Yoast here? So if you're not familiar with Yoast, it's a popular WordPress SEO plugin. So it helps you customize your page titles, description for SEO. It tells you if you have enough content on your page, or so it does have some features that are duplicate. So this works really well with it. They don't have schema yet in Yoast plugin. They're working on it. They started. I think they have They have FAQ if you have frequently asked questions, and you're using Gutenberg. Then you can mark them up with Gutenberg blocks with Yoast. But they're working on adding schema in the future. So this plugin, again, it doesn't have to be visible on the site. It uses the latest code, supports custom fields, and you have advanced targeting rules. So you say exactly which pages you want it to go to. Integrates with advanced custom fields plugin. Full compatibility with Yoast, and you get to test schema directly from the page. I contacted them that I was going to talk about this, and they gave me a 20% off coupon. It's like $79, this plugin. So after you installed, whether you use this plugin or another different plugin for structured data, you want to test it to see how well it works on your site. So you can either Google structured data testing tool or go to this link. And what it does is you put in the URL of your page and you say run test, and then it shows you all the schema data types detected on your page. So here it has sidebar, header, breadcrumbs. All of this was already in my theme, but there is a new data type that's recipe. That's new. I added that so I could see it shows up. And it tells you if there are any errors or warnings. So it has 0 errors, so that's good. I included the required fields. It has 9 warnings, and you can click on it and see more details. So the warnings are the fields that are recommended that I'm not using, cook time, nutrition, prep time. So it tells you, you could see if you implemented it correctly. And how many people have used Google Search Console here? Oh, so quite a few. So it used to be called Webmaster Developer Tools. And how many people use Google Analytics? A lot. So Search Console is different from Google Analytics. That it's more like a control center. I'll show you the benefits of it. If you want to implement it, you Google Search Console, and then you can activate it for your site. You'll have to verify that you are the rightful owner of your site. The easiest way to do it is with Yoast plugin. So you can see if there are any site issues, errors, or penalties for your site with Google. You can contact them directly about your site issues. You can request indexing, and this is pretty powerful because let's say you made a lot of changes to your site, how do you know, like, when is Google going to come and index it? When are they going to find out? When is it going to show up? So with this, you can request indexing, and it happens immediately. You can submit and monitor your XML sitemaps. So that's basically like table of contents for your site. So you're telling Google that this is what's on my site in this order. So it makes it easier for them to see. And by the way, Yoast plugin creates the XML sitemap for your site. You can ask Google if there are any errors, to reevaluate them. You can see mobile usability reports, click-through tracking, crawl and index errors, and queries used in search. This is really nice because Google Analytics doesn't show you all the queries, the keywords that people search for to find your site. This shows you a lot more details, all the queries that people use to find your site. I took a screenshot because I was so excited. I wrote a post on how to make your site stand out in search results, and I used Google Search Console to request indexing, and then I Googled it the keywords, and it was at the top, even above Yoast. And Yoast has a lot of more domain authority than my site. And the reason for this is because Google likes fresh content, so they give you that temporary boost when you first create. So you can see it says 16 minutes ago. Unfortunately, it's not at the top anymore, but that was pretty cool. And so before I end, I wanted to leave you with this really useful tip. I don't know if some of you may have used it already, but it's really helpful. Sometimes it's eye-opening to see how your site is actually indexed by Google. So it's very simple. You basically go to google.com and you type in site column and then your domain name. You don't put HTTP, you don't put / anything, you just put no spaces, just site column and your domain name. And then click enter and it will show you all the pages on your site that are indexed by Google. You could see the page titles, whether your schema is working. You could see the descriptions, and sometimes it's just eye-opening. Like you see some weird titles for your page, and you didn't realize you actually had those titles there. Or maybe a whole section of your site is not even being indexed, so you need to go figure out why. So it's just like an easy way to go and see the whole picture at once. And here's the link to the slides. In my email, my Twitter, if you want to tweet me, email me, ask me questions. Thank you. Yeah.
Now, Google now is also penalizing sites that don't load quickly. If you have a video or things like that, what other components that you need to look out in addition to this do you need to be aware of?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So this is just basically, it's not to go to the top. This was just to stand out, in search results. But yes, they are penalizing sites that are not loading quickly because site speed is very important. Nobody likes to wait for a slow site. So you have to make sure your site loads under 3 seconds because half of the people will leave if it hasn't loaded in 3 seconds. So they will penalize if the site is loading slower. It will be lower ranked. So you need to make sure you optimize your images. There's a new tool to optimize images that I really like. Have you heard of Squish app? It's a new app by Google. It's like Squish, Squish, SQUOOSH.app. Squish.
Because I was even reading an article saying that the web is going back to static pages because of that change of Google. Because what happens is that static pages load a lot quicker. If you have a lot of stuff that's connected, it's totally changing the way we're designing pages.
Yeah, I mean, we used to use static sites before, but sometimes it's like if you have a static site and you have 1,000 pages and you want to change the header, do you have to go to every single page and change the header? That's why we have WordPress, we have dynamic sites, so we have page templates. But there's a lot of bloat with themes and images. People load so many unnecessary things on their sites. Just the other day I was looking at a site and it was loading slow, but then I looked and there were two sliders running at the same time. Sliders, the carousels on the front, 2 sliders, 2 page builders, and the theme had a page builder in it, in addition to other things that were extra. So that's why it's loading slow. It's got a lot of issues with it. Yeah.
Will the Google Search Console show you that speed, you're getting penalized for speed?
Yeah, they have, I think, mobile usability report that shows you how friendly, mobile friendly it is and how fast. I think they have speed on it. I know Google Analytics shows, I think.
Google Test My Site.
Google Test, yeah. So there's a lot of speed tools. I really like webpagetest.org. There's GT Metrics, Pingdom. Pingdom tools, it shows you how fast it loads and a lot of other details. So a lot of it is sometimes it's best practices. So as long as it loads under 3 seconds and the above the fold, what the user sees loads pretty quickly, that's fine. If you don't hit on every other suggestion they want you to do, you can't do every suggestion they try to make. So yeah.
I just heard a statistic today, after 3 seconds, every second it takes, you're losing 10% of your audience. So within 10 seconds, they're all gone.
Yeah, so there's a statistic that if it hasn't loaded in 3 seconds, half of the people will leave.
Yeah.
So, especially on mobile, it's with Wi-Fi network.
Now they're changing the algorithm again. Next week, tomorrow, have they already changed it?
I don't know.
So actually, a nice solution to that is caching.
Caching is definitely helpful. Yeah. I mean, you have to have caching because it makes your site load faster. But there are other things too. You can just do it all other things too, like images and don't use unnecessary plugins. Don't load a lot of third parties, like temperature, what's outside temperature on your site. Who is going to come to your site to check the temperature outside? That's just like another request people have to sit and wait for. Any more questions? Yeah.
So yeah, the plugin that you were saying, the free one, is that the one that you use, or do you suggest a premium one? Is there a premium one that you would suggest over that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I started using the free plugin, and I could not. First of all, some of them I had to alter my front end. Like, what if I didn't want to have like the cooking time, or show up on my pages, or the rating, which. And also it wasn't as customizable as the premium plugin. Like, it didn't have as many data types. I couldn't say I wanted only on these pages. I wanted to show on this page, on this blog category, but don't show it on this. You could say show it on this, but don't show it on this page. Exclude or include pages. It's pretty powerful with the premium plugin. But I would you can try the free plugin, and if that works, that's great. But a lot of times it has limited options. Yeah.
Can you speak on the importance of headers and how that works into the search engines when your page is being ranked in a sense? H1 headers, putting keywords into your H1 headers, H2 headers, things like that. Can you just offer your insights on those?
Yeah. So if you use H1, H1 shows the priority. This is the title of your page, and Google likes to see you kind of prioritize your keywords. Yes, you should use the most important ones in H1, and then lower importance in H2 and H3, and so on. You should have some order in your site, for sure. Any more questions? That's it. Thank you so much.